Hey guys, so you might be wondering two things. Why is Elon Musk and Bruce Lee on the same thumbnail? And number two, what is the meaning behind Be Like Water 2.0? Well, stick around and you'll find out. My name is Jonathan H2O, and welcome to Sync with Success. Well, besides dancing, Bruce Lee and Elon Musk are on the same thumbnail because they actually have a lot in common, more than you might think. The level of success in their field is no accident, and I think I found a pattern of how they got there. Bruce Lee modernized martial arts on a global scale. He changed the game when he broke the Chinese tradition of keeping martial arts a secret, and did more to popularize martial arts than anyone in history. Elon Musk is a trailblazer in every sense of the word, by transforming the auto industry from internal combustion engines to 100% electric motors. The transition to sustainable energy is in sight.
Honestly, that, my friend, is very hard to do, and you have to train. You have to keep your reflexes so that when you want it, it's there. When you want to move, you're moving. And when you move, you are determined to move. If I want to punch, I'm going to do it, man, and I'm going to do it, you see? So that is the type of thing you have to train yourself into it. When you're talking about fighting as it is,
No rules.
with no rules.
Not real fighting.
Well, then, baby, you better train every part of your body.
Work hard, every waking hour. That's the thing I would say, particularly if you're starting a company. If you do simple math, say okay, if somebody else is working 50 hours and you're working 100, you'll get twice as much done in the course of a year as the other company.
Bruce Lee invented Jeet Kune Do, a fighting technique built on maximizing the efficiency of the human body. By innovating his own training regimens to focus on all facets of his physical and mental development, he became resourceful in harnessing his energy efficiently. Compared to any other government space programs, SpaceX engineers are extremely resourceful at designing rockets that are more efficient and 1/10 the cost, because SpaceX rockets are reusable. Bruce Lee spent many hours studying a variety of subjects, including philosophy, biomechanics, and physics. He wasted no time applying what he learned in a scientific sense to advance as a martial artist. Elon also studied physics, along with other subjects like economics and computer programming. He also used his computer science skills to found his first startup company called Zip2. Isn't it interesting that although Bruce Lee was a martial artist and Elon Musk is an engineer, that they both studied physics? Let that sink in for a moment. This vital piece of information gives us insight on how their mind works. Bruce and Elon sent shockwaves that resonated around the world, and everyone could see the fruits of their labor. But I wanted to understand the seed of their thoughts. In other words, how did they get their results? How do they think? Let's find out.
When I look around, I always learn something, and that is to be always yourself and to express yourself, to have faith in yourself. Do not go out and look for a successful personality and duplicate him. Like they always copy mannerisms, but they never start from the very root of his being, and that is, how can I be me?
I do think there's a good framework for thinking is physics. The sort of first principles reasoning. Generally, I think there are. What I mean by that is boil things down to their fundamental truths and reason up from there, as opposed to reasoning by analogy. Through most of our life, we get through life by reasoning by analogy, which essentially means kind of copying what other people do with slight variations.
Do you guys see a similar pattern developing between these two concepts?
But they never start from the very root of his being.
Boil things down to their fundamental truths and reason up from there.
Do you kind of see it now? Boiling things down and going to the root are essentially the same thing. They both speak of getting to the core of what matters. Now, with the theme of be like water in mind, there is a connection between these two concepts and the way water behaves. Let me show you. Water is called the universal solvent because more substances dissolve in water than any other chemical. In other words, water can break down, dissolve, deconstruct, and reverse engineer matter down to their fundamental parts and get to the root of the substance. Bottom line, water can find out what something is made of right down to the atom. But that's not even the best part. To dissolve something is a physical property that water does by default, 100% of the time. And it's the same substance that makes up to 75% of our body, which means we all have the potential to exploit water's properties. That's the best part. It's available to everyone. Because Bruce and Elon synchronized their thoughts with just one of the values found in water, their success is no accident. So technically, if we synchronize our thoughts with the most valuable substance in the universe, we should increase our value in the process, right? But don't take my word for it, guys. I believe words, thoughts, and ideas are more meaningful when they come from someone with universal credibility. Here's a quote from Albert Einstein. "Everything is energy, and that's all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. It can be no other way. This is not philosophy. This is physics." Be Like Water 2.0 came to me when I noticed a pattern in Bruce Lee's philosophy. Now I'm gonna play a clip, and I want you to listen closely.
This is what it is, okay? I said, empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water. Now you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Now water can flow, or it can crash. Be water, my friend. Like that, you see?
No, I see. I get the idea.
Uh-huh.
Every time he mentions water, it's in a cup or a bottle, or flowing or crashing. Do you see a pattern? In every scenario, water is under the influence of gravity or pressure. So then I began to wonder, how does water behave in the absence of gravity and other external forces? And when I discovered the answer to this question, it changed my whole perspective on life. For real. So special thanks to the astronauts in the International Space Station for capturing this event. Click this link if you're interested in seeing the whole video. I've said this in my previous videos, and I may never stop saying it. Water is not flat, so just let that sink in for a moment. It is spherical by default, which is the only shape in the whole universe that is capable of holding the most volume with the least amount of surface area. So what you're looking at is a universal symbol for maximum efficiency. This happens because water is super sticky, and it sticks to itself. The high cohesive force between each H2O molecule makes it the most efficient shape there is and ever will be. End of discussion. So what do we have here? If water can adapt to any shape, dissolve more substances than any other chemical, is the most efficient shape in the universe, what else does it do that we can learn from and apply it to the way we think and behave? As it turns out, water is cohesive and adhesive. It sticks to itself and other things. People do the same, as demonstrated by this human chain. The surface tension that's supporting this leaf is a result of cohesive bonds between each water molecule. It is so strong, it forms a razor-thin membrane at the surface. A seamless integration of molecules with no gaps or spaces, with integrity, strong enough to support life. Keywords here, support and integrity. We can see this phenomenon being demonstrated in human behavior as well. To make this work, notice how the audience has to be tightly packed together to create a seamless layer of integrity to avoid large gaps or spaces to support the performer. Again, the key words here is support, seamless, integrity. It's the same thing with water. Protection. Ice is less dense, and so it floats on water, and has a way of protecting life in the process. By creating a barrier between water below and the freezing air above, life can continue to grow and flourish underneath the surface. People use ice to create a barrier to protect them from the environment. There are even jobs like law enforcement where they physically become a barrier to protect law-abiding citizens. Preservation of life. Ice can preserve just about anything for days, months, or even years. With a specific skill set, people find ways to preserve life, like CPR or surgery. Water is a polar molecule. It's balanced at the atomic level, both positive and negative, and perfectly balanced as a sphere. We can relate this to justice. Law and order is a derivative from balance. You do the crime, you do the time. Balance is fundamental to a healthy life both individually and collectively. It's why bipolar is a mental condition classified as a disorder. H2O's pH balance is 7, meaning it's neutral. It's tasteless, odorless, and refreshing. It can also neutralize corrosive chemicals and substances like fire. When we look at the scale, we can relate it to human behavior. The farther away we stray from the neutral zone, the more toxic and destructive we become to ourselves and potentially to others. Water can capture the reflection of anything with a great amount of detail. You can barely tell the difference. People behave the same way when we copy other people or the things we make. H2O can expand as a solid, liquid, and gas. Even its curved spherical shape is a perfect representation of exponential or nonlinear. Brilliant people also have a way of thinking exponentially, sometimes referred to as thinking outside the box. Transparency enables us to see right through the substance, which can build trust. Without transparency in humanity, trust in relationships begin to deteriorate. Focus. The cohesive attraction from every H2O molecule is focused towards the center of the sphere. Mental focus makes us less distracted and more productive to discover our full potential. Concentration. By maximizing the most volume in a given space while taking up the least amount of surface area, no other shape in the universe represents concentration like a sphere. Mental concentration enables us to prioritize our energy on one particular thing. This is an extremely valuable skill because we become more efficient. Water's clarity is free of obstruction, and just like clarity of the mind, is the absence of noise, where the signal is sharp, distinct, and full of detail. The spherical shape also represents tranquility, peace, wholeness, unity, harmony. Listen, I can go on and on, but the point is, there are more qualities about H2O that I haven't even mentioned. No wonder why it's the foundation of all life, and that we're just extensions of it. And the intrinsic value is that there is no substance that can substitute or measure up to the way H2O behaves as a solid, liquid, and gas. So the concept of Be Like Water 2.0 is just a continuation of Bruce Lee's philosophy, where he unlocked the door to human potential, and I'm kicking it wide open on human behavior, because I'm convinced that we can learn so much about how something works based on what it's made of. At the end of the day, Bruce Lee and Elon Musk are insanely influential, and from how I look at it, since their core values cause them to behave in a way that resembles water, I'm led to believe it's the same reason people gravitate towards them. And learning that their success is built on their core values, and their core values are in sync with water, the best course of action is to use the properties of water as a guide to navigate through life, kind of like a compass. So listen, The takeaway from this video is that a physics mindset plays a crucial role in our perception of ourselves and the universe, and that success has a pattern. And when we synchronize with the most abundant substance in our body and the most valuable substance in the universe, we increase our value in the process. Because if it worked for Bruce Lee and Elon Musk, technically it should work for anyone, right? That being said, I'm Jonathan, H2O. Thanks for watching Sync with Success. And let's stay hydrated. Because when our thoughts and actions are in sync with the most valuable substance in the universe, we become the best version of ourselves and begin to discover our full potential.